I'm sure if we're all honest, we have an idea in our minds of what it looks like to be disabled. This is instilled through the imagery around us. The universal sign for disability is someone in a wheelchair, which gives the idea that this is the only way to be disabled. This is not, however, anywhere near the full picture. Most people are aware of invisible disabilities, but perhaps do not see them as such, instead referring to them as their specific conditions, such as epilepsy or diabetes. Most people also seem to think that there is a very small minority that are disabled, when actually there are over 13 million disabled people in the UK. This view that disabled people are different and uncommon likely contributes to the misunderstanding and ableism that is still very present in society. This makes it hard for those of us with invisible disabilities to feel understood, or to even get to a point where we understand what is going on for ourselves. I have a genetic condition which alters the way my collagen forms. Collagen is integral for soft tissues, so it impacts on most of the body's functions. However, most of the time you would not be able to tell I had a disability. And as it is genetic, for a long time I didn't realise either. I saw others in my family experiencing the comorbidities and side effects and thought that this must be normal. So I adapted and got on with living as normal of a life as possible, until I realised that it may be normal for my family to be in pain and tired almost constantly, but it wasn't for other 17-year-olds. I was lucky that my mum had always helped me to adapt, and so as the chronic pain didn't become apparent until my teenage years, I had a fairly normal childhood. I couldn't grip very well, so couldn't cut my own food a lot of the time, and I have poor proprioception and weak ankles, so was often falling and getting injured. As a child, I noticed that my joints stretched too far, but didn't really see it as a problem other than when I couldn't do archery because my elbow bent back and got caught by the string. I was, however, labelled as clumsy for my constant falls and injuries, and lazy because my mum still had to cut up my meat or pizza for me. I've only got a knife which allows me to do this for myself in the last year. When I started high school, it became apparent that my ankles were weak, as I was starting to fall flat most days by the time I was 13. I went to see a physiotherapist who asked me if I could bend my joints in certain ways and told me I was hypermobile, then gave me exercises to strengthen my ankles. This was the first time I could start putting a name to the thing that made me different. At that age, most of my pain was in my ankles, and I had physio appointments that could explain why I couldn't do certain sports all of the time. As I got older, however, more of my joints got affected, and I would start injuring them more frequently or having pain in them. This would then start impacting more on my day-to-day life, especially the pain in my hands. I still did not have a diagnosis, so felt weak and useless when I had to say I couldn't do something because of another injury, or else the risk of further injuries. It was hard to make people believe something was wrong without a diagnosis, and I learnt to push through the pain in PE or when doing daily tasks. I couldn't get doctor's notes for every injury, as many would happen in school, or during the lessons where I was being asked for the notes. And I would feel the effects of bad sprains for a long time, but found it hard to convince people that I was telling the truth when in pain. For a few years, I learned to hide the pain for fear of people not believing me, saying I looked fine or was too young to be in that much pain. I don't use mobility aids, although some people with conditions in the same family as mine do, and they are often known as ambulatory wheelchair users, as they don't need these aids all of the time. I do, however, take pain medication fairly regularly and use and own a wide range of joint supports. Hiding the pain and pushing myself too far would lead to burnouts, though. Huge flares of pain in the holidays and being much more tired a lot more of the time. This meant I couldn't do the things that I'd want to with this time off. This is a common thing to happen to people with invisible disabilities. We aren't believed, so we stop showing the pain we are in, or start believing maybe we really did make it up and push through regardless. But we pay for it when we finally slow down and it's harder to get going again. Last year I moved house and thought with the new doctor, maybe it was time to get to the bottom of what was going on. And the difference it made having a doctor who believed me and didn't talk down was immediate. I felt able to seek help and answers that meant I could get more physio and hydrotherapy to work on my balance. It was this that explained why I was clumsy, that my body doesn't properly tell me where my joints are, so it doesn't realise if my ankle is turned out too far until I fall. Unfortunately, though, invisible disabilities are often not well understood, even within the medical field. And when I was seen by rheumatology for my diagnosis, I was patronised and made to feel yet again like I didn't know what my body was doing. And then diagnosed with benign joint hypermobility syndrome, which is an old diagnosis and was separated into hypermobility Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and hypermobility spectrum disorder in 2017. Therefore, I still don't know what exactly is going on with my body. However, this has made me feel able to join online support groups for the family of disorders I am now diagnosed within, which has greatly helped me to feel less alone and to find strategies to help with the pain and injuries. So life with an invisible disability is hard, but it's also the only life many of us know. And it's made much easier by people just listening and trusting us to know what is going on with our bodies. If you want to help a disabled person, listen to them. Let them know you believe them and you'll be there for them, and ask if there is anything you can do to help. Asking is important, both to ensure that no further harm is done by moving something or touching someone, and to make sure that you don't make that person feel belittled, like you feel that they can't do anything for themselves. The help that may be needed is lifting something or making a phone call, especially if people suffer from something that is known as brain fog, which makes it hard to concentrate and it confuses our brain so that we don't really know what we're thinking and it's easy to lose our train of thought. If you have a disability, I want you to know that you are seen, and there are people going through the same thing who are happy to help. I feel this is summed up really well in the phrase, "We are zebra strong." People with chronic illnesses are often referred to as medical zebras. Doctors are told, when you hear hooves, think of horses, not zebras. So we are misdiagnosed with something more common. And we are stronger together as a community or a herd of zebras. Thank you for listening.